Hey Bookish Babes, and welcome to my book nook. Those that are new around here, the name's Rainy. I read all types of books, primarily fantasy romance, so if you're interested in that, please like and subscribe to my channel down below. Today's video is the one with the TBR game, my fabulous Friends-themed inspired trivia game. I read 6 books, I roll a dice, I get prompts for them, and then I have to do Friends trivia at the end to potentially add another prompt. So, if you haven't seen this before, I have a playlist of all of the episodes so far. We've been doing this for about 3 years now, and it's changed a little bit over time, but this is what the board looks like currently. So, before we do that though, we are going to take a little trip down memory lane and talk about, did I read the TBR that I set out for February? Because while January was really good, February didn't go that well because of Clue and other things. I always slumped the hardest during February, which is unfortunate during my Get a Clue Readathon that I slumped the hardest. But I do, alas, I do. And so I'm almost positive I didn't read a single book that was on my TBR. And if that is the case, then what I decided this year is however many books I don't read that are on my TBR. And I'm talking about the 6 or 7 books that I say are going to be on my TBR, like from this game. I have to unhaul that many. And last month I only had to unhaul 2. Something tells me I'm going to be unhauling 6 or 7 this time. So let's see how I did. The first one starts off bad with I Know Who You Are by Alice Feeney. No, did not read this. Did not read this. Second book was Wild as the Witch, which I was supposed to read for a video project. Is that video project getting pushed to March now? Yes. So am I still going to read it? Yes. But did I read it right now? No. The third book was A Love Letter to Whiskey. Did I read it? No. No, I didn't. Sorry, I heard my dog eating. And she's been getting in a habit of like getting up onto the table and grabbing extra food. And so I was making sure she wasn't doing that. No, she's eating from her dog bowl. But did I read this? Like I said, recurring pattern? No. Do I have a plan for this month? Yes, I do. But still, didn't read it. Number 4 was An Ocean of Sin and Starlight by Karina Halley. And I have started this book. And by started, I'm 5% in. But because I've started, and because this is the one that my patrons voted on, which means that I will be reading this book, and I'm going to add it on to March, I'm not going to unhaul a book for this because I did actually start it, and I will be finishing it. Book 5 was Lost and Lassoed. I thought this was going to work for a prompt, and then I got really behind in life, and it would have worked for a prompt, but I didn't get quite there. So, it's fine. Everything's fine. But I didn't read it. Although we're about to turn the tide because book 6 was Ace of Spades, and I did read this. Good job, Rainy. You read a book. And then your lightning prompt was to read Natural Beauty, and I bet we can guess. Let's just hear by the sound of crickets. Yeah, didn't read this. Now, there are other books that I put on my TBR, but like I said, we go by the ones that are for the TBR game. So I had 7 books to read, and I didn't read 5. I technically didn't read, well, 6, but we're keeping the one that I have to read for patrons. So I have to unhaul 5 books before we get started. Love that for me. I'll be right back. I did not like this. Did not like this, Sam I Am. Do not like green eggs and ham because it was hard to get rid of 5, okay? The first one's kind of a cop-out. The Perfect Ruin by Shanora Williams. I actually love this. It's one of my favorite domestic, like, girl tries to take over another girl's life dramas or thrillers. But I loved this, but I don't necessarily need to keep it. Like, I just don't feel the need to keep it. And I know that my mom has been really wanting to read it, so I'm going to gift it to my mom. So it still stays in the family so I can take it back at any point, okay? This one is one that I'm not sure about, but when Jan was talking about it in her wrap-up, and how she didn't really understand any of it, and like, it just started sounding like a book that really probably wasn't made for me, and this is How You Lose the Time War. Now, I could be convinced to trade this out for a different book, but as of right now, like, this is going. And then I literally just hauled Spinning Silver, but like, if we're being honest, I'm not going to read this anytime soon. So like, I can buy it again for $3 when I feel like I'm going to read it. And then I'm getting rid of The Wrong Number by R.L. Stine. I bought this back for a readathon for like, I can't even remember what readathon was. It was like back in the 80s or 90s readathon, and they wanted you to read a Goosebumps or Fear Street book. So I got this for like $1 on Pango, but like, why am I keeping just this one book? And then Sleeping Giants. I mean, what were we doing picking up this sci-fi book? Like, what were we doing? Now, I almost bought the whole series, and I held off and said, Rainy, you don't even know if you're going to like this. However, this doesn't even sound like something I'm going to like. So why I ever bought it, I don't know, but out it goes. So these are the 5 books that have lived their life in Casa de Barton. And now we can go back to regularly scheduled programming and start rolling some rolls and see what's going to be on my TBR. Now, I will say I am participating in Realmathon this year, which is hosted by Cassidy from Covers with Cassidy. Go Team Stags. That is my team. I actually just got all my bookmarks in and I'm very excited about it. I will say I am going into this. What I love about this Readathon the most is that you can basically read anything you want and it'll still either give points or take away points from a team or add points to your team. And so I'm going into it not thinking about what books can I read to stack up the most points. I'm going into it of what books does Rainy need to read, okay? Or what books am I going to have to read and how can I make those work for the team, okay? So that is the mindset going in. So anyway, I do know that there are extra points for things if you read like the prompt of like your team and whatnot, and so I will try to hit those if I can. We'll see if I can squeeze a book or 2 in for that, but like I said, we are just trying to make it through, okay? We're trying to make it through. Okay, friends, so 24 is ancient history, which means it has to be an author I've read from before, and it's orange, which means that the genre is dependent on the prompt, which I kind of like those because that gives me a little bit more freedom. So the first prompt we are reading is to read a book from an author with the same initials as me. Well, that's not very dependent. In case I can't find that, I'm going to pull one more, and then we'll come back and tell you whether I was successful or not in that endeavor, okay? Read a book being adapted to a movie. Oh, I have a good idea for this one. So as mentioned, roll number 1 was 24 and it was genre dependent. So it could be any genre and it had to be from an author that I've already read from before. And it either had to have the initials, the same initials as me, like RB for the name. And I looked through my TBR and I didn't have that. Or it had to be a book that is becoming a movie adaptation. And I searched for a while and I don't honestly have a lot of those on my shelf. So I'm allowing myself to switch it from an old author to a new to me author because I knew of one immediately. And that's Clown in the Cornfield by Adam Cesar. Because I'm pretty sure this comes out in May. Now, am I going to watch this? No. I'm terrified of clowns. And then you're asking me to watch a killer clown movie? The trailer alone with the hand around the mouth, if you know, you know. That was enough for me. But am I interested in reading this book? Yes. And my friend worded this perfectly the other day, Neva. She said that when you're reading a horror book like this, you can put it down at any point and walk away from it and be done. You can't do that when you go to a movie. I mean, you can, but you're losing your money. So like, and I guess you're losing your money for this too, but like I can walk away and I don't think about this when the book is over. I'm going to think about that till Kingdom Come if I watch it. So I will be reading this, but not partaking in the adaptation part of it. So 39 is fears and pet peeves, which means it has to be a new to me author, but it is orange again, which means that this is also a genre dependent prompt. So let's see what I got. Oops, I pulled 2 out. So we're going to go with the one that I've already open. That is read an author's debut. Okay. Then the next one was 39, like we saw, and it is a new author, and it's genre dependent once again, and it has to be their debut novel. So I actually let my patrons vote on this, and so I'm going to go see what the poll ended up being, but I'll tell you the 5 books that I let them vote between. So, oh, now it's freaking tied. Well, I guess this works out. I'll explain why. I forgot that I had put Clown in the Cornfield on there. And then I had put The Memory Puller by Chris K. Haynes, Blood and Brujas, Of Blood and Aether, and Of Night and Blood. The other 4 are all debut authors that are going to Villains and Vixens, because once again, I'm trying to read as many of those as I can in preparation for that. And since I forgot that Clown in the Cornfield was on there, and half of the votes are for that, I guess I'm already reading that. So I'm going to go with the other one that was tied, and that will be Of Blood and Aether. I've heard really great things about this from like one person on Instagram. I've seen one person repeatedly shouting its praises, and so I hope that it is everything that I asked for, but I have not really heard anything outside of that, so I am a little scared, because if we're being honest, all the books that I've read so far for Villains and Vixens have been duds, so I need one to come around. So 45 is also Fears and Pet Peeves. It's a new to me author and it's red, which means that I get to pick the genre. I can pick any book I want. Basically, it's like a mood read kind of, but still with the prompt. So I'm scared of what the prompt's going to give me, honestly. Oh gosh, it's a long one. I can tell already. Hold on. Read a favorite book from a new YouTuber you have never heard of slash not following. Ooh, that's a little scary. That's a little scary. Okay, sure. We'll do it. So 45 was a new to me author, and it's my choice in genre, and it had to be a favorite book from a new YouTuber that you're not following. So honestly, I typed in dark romance favorites and this girl popped up. I think I've seen her on TikTok before, but I've never followed her. Yana. She has like almost 1 million followers, which is crazy that I don't follow her already. But anyway, she didn't have favorites in that video. So I went to her most recent favorite where she was reading reviews of like 1-star reviews of her favorite books. And I looked through that list and one came up. Love Letter to Whiskey, which honestly is great because I really do want to read this, and I'm supposed to read this because I got this sent to me by Ingram Spark program, so I should actually be reading this and leaving a review for it soon. So I'm very excited. I'm just scared of what it's going to do to hurt my soul, but we're going to read it this month. We're going to read it this month. So 49 is from ancient history, which means it has to be an old author or an author I've read from before. And it is orange once a freaking again. It's genre dependent. Like, this is wild how many oranges I'm pulling. Like, what is going on here? This sorcery of business. Okay. And we are, read a book with your least favorite color on the cover. Ugh. Then we had 49, which had to be an author that I've read from before. It's genre dependent once again, and it is with your least favorite color on the cover, which my least favorite color is orange, actually. And this does have orange on it, but I don't hate this color orange, but we're going with it because I really want to read this book. Lost and Lassoed, okay? Her shirt is orange. His is like an orangish red. I should have gone with that yellow because that's a god-awful, ugly yellow. But we're going to read Lost and Lassoed because Wild and Wrangled, the 4th book, comes out in April. And I need to be prepared, okay? And I'm buddy reading that with Kelsey, so I need to finish the series. I love a good cowboy romance, and this just really does it for me. And I've been excited for Teddy and Gus's story for a hot minute. So, like, I still don't know why I haven't read this yet. Okay, we got 14 for literature, which means it has to be part of a series, and it's orange again. Wouldn't you freaking know it? It is genre dependent once again, although hopefully I can get a romantasy to work with this. Read a book that another booktuber hated. Why are people trying to come for me? Then 14 had to be a series, and it could be genre dependent once again, and it had to be a book that a booktuber hated. So I honestly just typed in least favorite books, clicked on the first one, which was from Ellen Catherine, and she had a polarizing book on there that I have started before in Soft DNF'd, and I want to try one more time and see if this really isn't for me. And that is Binding 13 by Chloe Walsh, okay? I remember starting this and thinking, one, that it was so beyond crass and vulgar for like a YA book that is marketed that way. But two, I was like, yeah, it was basically like if I heard any of the male genitalia words one more time, I was gonna shoot a hole in the roof. I really was. Okay, so I just don't know if this is for me. I just need to know why everyone is obsessed with this. I think I need to get a little bit further and I'll understand, or I just won't, and then we'll be done with it forever. So 29 is It's All Relative, which means it has to be a book that's either trending or a book that I absolutely need to fit onto my TBR for the month. And would you know what color it is? Freaking orange. Freaking orange. Okay, let's see. Read a book with a face on the cover. I have an idea. And then 29 had to be a trending book or a book that I needed to get on my TBR. It was genre dependent and it had to have a face on the cover. And I immediately knew which book I was going to pick for that. And that is Don't Let the Forest In by C.G. Drews. I have heard everyone and their mother shouting about this from the rooftops. Tori, Katy, Gabby, just so many different people. And I mean, look at this. It's literally stunning, okay? It is a YA sapphic horror, and I heard that it has lovely, beautiful writing, and I'm so stoked. I'm just so stoked. I just can't wait to read this book. I just can't wait to be king, okay? I just can't wait. And with that, it's time to do Friends Trivia. So if you're new around here, I'm about to grab a card. It has 5 questions on it. I have 30 seconds to answer them. If I get at least 3 of them right, I don't have to add an extra roll on the lightning prompt die. If I don't do well, I will be adding another. So let's see what the fates have in store for me today. All right, let me get my timer set up. Oh God, that's a calculator. That's not a timer. Good Lord, Rainy. Do you not know how to do anything, apparently. 3, 2, 1. Okay. One of Joey's first big breaks was starring in a movie as Al Pacino's what? His butt. I didn't know that. During a robbery in his own apartment, what was Joey locked into? His entertainment center. What's the name of Phoebe's song about a feline? Smelly cat. Name the unsightly man who lived across the way from Monica and Rachel's balcony. Ugly naked guy. After Chandler kissed Joey's girlfriend, what did Joey make Chandler do to repent? Oh, he had to like stay in a box and not talk to anybody for like a day. Or not even a day, but like a day. That was insanely easy. Let's see. Butt double, entertainment cabinet, smelly cat, ugly naked guy, spend time in the box. I got all 5. I got all 5. Oh my goodness, Rainy, you're so awesome. You got all 5. I literally never do that. I never do that. Oh, that is exciting. Although I had already pre-rolled in case and was going to get Phone a Friend. And I might just put that book on my TBR anyway because I really wanted to read it. But good job, Rainy. Good job. So minus the 2 books that I don't actually have physical copies of at the moment. This is what we're reading. Oh, Clown in a Cornfield fell on the floor. And then I have just a couple other books that I'm going to put on the TBR for Realmathon purposes and just in general. So let me grab those real quick and then we're going to wrap it up. So the first one is I'm not actually going to be reading, but I am going to be promoting it because it is for our Tortured Readers book club, which is the book club that I run with Katy from Would Rather Be Reading. And this month for March, we are going to be reading The Favorites by Lane Fargo. Now, I actually did just read this. This is probably my best book in February. I loved this book. I loved it so very much. It was just so Taylor Jenkins Reid coded, so Daisy Jones, so Evelyn Hugo, so Carrie Soto. It was just everything that I wanted and more, honestly. This is the type of literary fiction that I like, okay? About a scandal and about hearing the actual side of the story, okay? So yeah, we're reading this on our channel for Tortured Readers Book Club, so make sure to join our Discord underneath here and get to read this with us. We are doing all-day sprints on Saturday, March 29th from 8 to 4. So be excited and join in the magic. And for Rachel from Raven-Haired Readers Patreon book club, which I'm so excited to be a part of. I didn't get to the book for this month because it didn't have an audio, Anathema, which we'll talk about in a minute. For March, we're going to be reading Amid Cloud and Bones by Ella Fields. It's the girl who wrote Nectar of the Wicked, and I haven't read that yet, but I do own the first book from Fairy Loot, but I think this is a new standalone that she has written, and I've been seeing it going around everywhere and different people reading it and enjoying it. I know Emmy from Emmy Reads, I think, just read it and liked it, so I am excited to get to it, hopefully, and I mean, it's a standalone, so I'm not starting a new series, so that's a win. And speaking of Anathema, I will be picking it up in March because the audio comes out March 18th. And so then I can start it. I just can't commit to this big fantasy romance boy when there's no audio because I need to be able to listen to it on the go. But I also know that I want to tab it. And as much as I could do that physically, I fear I don't want to. I fear I don't want to is really what the answer is. So oh my gosh, it has artwork. That's actually really pretty. It has artwork on certain chapters. So anyway, excited to get to this. For Tori's book club, at least right now, the winner is this, so I'm going to go with this. We're reading Feathers So Vicious by Liv Zanders, and I've been wanting to read this because I've been hearing this come up a lot more recently as like a why choose Raven shifter situation. I know Cassidy from Covers with Cassidy just read it. I know Jamie from That Girl Reader just read it. Also, several people that I know have read it and have really enjoyed it, so I do love a good why choose moment. And I actually started Lightlark a month or two ago and didn't get very far, so I'm going to restart it and do hopefully a Lightlark series buddy read with Vanessa and a couple of other people over from Host for Prose. So I am excited to get to that because I have been wanting to read this for a minute, and so I want to know, like, is it good? Is it not? And I guess I'll finally know. And the final thing that I've been failing epically at for months now is I let my top 2 tiers of Patreon pick books to submit to me for an extra book to read to my TBR. And I've read a couple of the books that are on this Google Doc, so I have taken them off. So I'm actually going to have to ask my patrons to add some more because I'm running a little bit low. However, I was supposed to be doing this monthly, and there's one book that I was supposed to read starting in October, which was when my Patreon started, and I never read it. So you know what I'm going to do now? I'm going to do a spinner wheel, except for since it's been 5 months of me supposed to be reading that book, I have that book on here 5 times. And I only have 2 other books on this list. So it looks like I'm probably going to be reading that, but I'm going to laugh really hard if it didn't land on that book. But let's see what book it's going to land on, okay? I am screen recording this for you right now. Oh my gosh, no. That is hilarious. It got so close to not picking that book, but it did pick that book. So we will be reading Drown the Sea, okay? My good friend Alicia, I feel like I'm saying your name wrong, and I'm having a momentary lapse. I'm having a momentary lapse. It's just, I'm filming this way too late at night. It's almost midnight. I'm finally reading Drown the Sea, okay? And if I don't, this is over. So with that, there are other books that I do want to read for the month, but that's all I'm going to put on my TBR. Like I said, I am going to figure out how these can all work for Realmathon. I am on Team Stag, so be excited for that. If you got to the end of this video, let's put a skating emoji for the favorites, because I was staring at that, and also because I'm very excited to have you all hopefully read that with us. A special shout out to all of my patrons. Thank you for being the fabulous people that you are and helping support my channel. If you're ever interested in joining us and getting extra sprints and extra videos and getting to choose things on my TBR, and have fun special movie night events and things with us, then please subscribe below. You'll have all the information underneath this video. And with that, my friends, I will see you in another video very soon. Bye.